Are you planning a trip to Thailand, perhaps for the first time? In this video, we'll talk about travel safety and hiring bikes and cars, dating and STIs. We'll look at some notable media stories where tourists have gotten themselves jammed up, and we'll take a look at taxi scams. And we'll discuss Thai culture to get a better idea of how to endear ourselves to the locals and avoid drama while visiting. The content I'm presenting today is based on my own experiences and that of close friends I've made whilst travelling through the Kingdom of Thailand over the last 2 years. I want everyone to enjoy their time while they're in Thailand, on their well-earned holidays. But I think there's a few things I should mention about culture and safety that'll make sure that the Thai people you meet feel respected and you stay safe. Let's start with the easy stuff, manners. Point number 1 is feet. Thai people aren't massive fans of feet. You see, feet are low and also the head is high. So it's worth noting, you should never touch a Thai person on their head. And we usually do that in the West when a little kid walks past and you pat them on the head when they've done a good job. Yep, don't do that here. Similarly with feet, shoes are seen as dirty because they touch the ground. Therefore, shoes should really be left at the front door of any home and even some shops. As you walk in somewhere, clock the doorstep, see if the proprietor's shoes are all there lined up, and have a think to yourself, perhaps I need to take my shoes off before I step into this premises. Let's talk about cash. In Thailand, cash is king. And I'm also going to put cash under the manners banner because there's a few things to know when handling cash here. Essentially, you won't be able to pay with Apple Pay really anywhere. What you can do is take your native currency over to Thailand and exchange it in country, and that way you can shop around for the best possible exchange rate. Now here's the interesting thing about cash here. It has the image of the king on every single note. So you cannot scrunch the money up. That's seen as deeply disrespectful to the king and the kingdom, and vendors even have the right to refuse your cash if it's too creased up. So it's best to get yourself a wallet and carry around that cash flat so it doesn't get scrunched up. Hot tip, I would learn to order my 20s, 50s, 100s, 500s and 1000s to give you a fighting chance of getting your head around the currency. And at night, in the dark, I gotta say, 100s look very similar to 500s, which will look very similar to 1000s. 1,000 baht is a lot of money to some Thai people. And I think it's in poor taste to flush a wallet full of thousands. Perhaps when you go out for the day, only take a few thousand and put your excess cash in the safe, back in your hotel. Let's be honest, it's 2025 and CCTV is everywhere. No one's robbing your safe. And I'll say just a quick thing about eating and table manners before we jump into the more exciting stuff. Communal eating is a massive part of Thai culture, and people like to sit down at each meal, usually on the ground, with all the food in little bowls in front of them and share. Now, shoes should definitely not be part of this equation when you're sitting and eating as a group. And you'll notice that Thai people tend to eat their food with a fork in the left hand and a spoon in the right hand. And you will get extra brownie points if you use the 2 pieces of cutlery in that fashion. Essentially using the fork in your left hand to push the food onto the spoon and then eating with the spoon. Managing the traffic. And I'm not just talking about road traffic, I'm talking about foot traffic as well. Thai people are a lot more patient in general than Western cultures. It is customary to let others in before you. Now, if you choose, you can start this practice straight away. And from the moment you do, you will begin to reap the rewards, I promise. If you come face to face with a Thai person in a store, say a 7-Eleven, and you're both trying to go down the same path, now if you back up just a little bit and give a slight little head nod and let that person pass you, you will endear yourself to the locals immediately. Now let's talk about roads. Number 1, keep your head on a swivel. Traffic in Thailand goes both ways, even down one-way streets. Tourists coming from countries where they drive on the left-hand side, like Britain and Australia, they're at an advantage here because they're used to looking out for traffic that's sitting in the left-hand lane. If you're coming from the US or any other country in the world where you're used to driving on the right-hand side of the road, it's a little bit confusing at first. Now the roads here, they're not Egypt, it's not Vietnam. There is some discernible rhythm to the traffic flow here. And if you find yourself behind the wheel of a car or clutching the handlebars of a motorcycle, know that overtaking, it's a big thing here. Folks travel at all different speeds, from food carts traveling like 10 kilometers an hour to boy racers doing 160. It's best to match your comfortable speed with the flow of traffic that's doing the same thing as you. If you're only comfortable with doing, say, 10 kilometers an hour, well, slip in behind that food cart in the left shoulder or the left lane. And while we're on the topic of road safety, I want to say a quick thing about horns. Using your car horn. Horns are not a big thing here in Thailand. Honestly, you could liken it to tapping someone's car with your foot in terms of how offensive it is. It's just a slight tap, and it's to avoid an impending accident. then you'll probably get away with it. But I gotta say, using your horn at full force really opens you up to some road rage that you're probably not prepared for. There have been countless incidents that don't make it to the mainstream news where Thai people have used their horn excessively and been met with a volley of bullets from another driver's concealed weapon. While this may come as a big surprise to some people, there are a lot of guns here, fact. So let's use this opportunity to briefly touch on weapons and fighting. I'm not sure what it's like in the United States, but in Australia and the UK, you could say it's almost a national sport, heading out with your mates for a night of drinking on the weekend and getting into an argument with venue security, or even getting in a punch-up with some other punters on the street. Now in Thailand, if, say, an Australian gets in an altercation with a Russian person, Thais will probably stay out of it because that's between two foreign people and they don't care. But if you are a foreigner that gets into an altercation with a Thai national, things are very, very different here. All that beautiful hospitality and undercurrent of Buddhism and goodwill, it actually disappears almost instantly. And the foreigner may very quickly learn what it means to go head to head with someone who's been learning Muay Thai probably since the age of 5. Whether it's a skinny, frail looking elderly gentleman or a chubby young Thai dude, it's likely that at some point in their life, they've spent a considerable amount of time in a kickboxing ring. As I touched on at the beginning of the video, I offer these insights based on the experiences of either close friends or personal observations that I've made whilst living amongst Thais and traveling throughout the country over the last 2 and a bit years. Now to finish off this section, I'll just say a few quick words about taxi scams, okay?
Can you take me to Central World? Central World, yes.
Traffic jam?
Traffic jam?
Yeah, 200 baht.
200? Oh, no.
Taxis and tuk-tuks in the tourist areas of Bangkok and other tourist areas of the country, they're known to overcharge for services. Using the Uber equivalent here, Bolt or Grab app, that will generally secure you a reasonably priced taxi fare, agreed upon upfront and can be paid for at the end using cash. The motorbike taxi groups you will see on the side of the road, usually wearing orange vests, they're generally reliable, and while their rates are higher than booking through the Grab app or the Bolt app, they tend to know the local area well and can expediently get you to where you need to go. Now, motorbike taxi crews, they're often tight-knit and will operate from one area only. Upon completing their trip with you, they will return to their home base to wait for more customers. Now, they can be hailed down on the side of the road and used outside of these areas, but generally won't impinge on other crews' home base areas. Remember, it's all about showing respect. Now think about this, in tourist areas, these crews, they're accustomed to servicing intoxicated foreigners. They've been doing it for decades. High density nightlife precincts where bars are often staffed by only females without the presence of male security, these motorbike taxi groups will actually act as unofficial security. Regarding this, I can really only speak on the areas of Jomtien and Pattaya where I'm most familiar, but it's fairly safe to assume that hidden around that motorbike taxi stand will be trolley poles, baseball bats, knuckle dusters, knives, tasers, and in some cases, even firearms. You'll probably never see them, but just assume that they're there somewhere in case of a dire circumstance. Some folks may chime into the comments and say this is not the case. They're wrong. Let's talk about travel insurance and hospital care. Unfortunately, most travel insurance schemes do not pay out at the first sign of medical need. If you find yourself needing medical care or treatment in a hospital, that will usually need to be paid upfront from your own pocket. Bills can be submitted to your insurance company at the time, and that company will conduct a claims assessment, just like anywhere else in the world. If, for instance, you've been involved in a motorcycle accident whilst riding a scooter, and you've had alcohol in your system, or you've been riding or driving a vehicle without the proper international rider's or driver's license, your claim will be denied. Simply having insurance does not guarantee you the best healthcare at the time of the incident. You'll need to be able to pay cash, often day by day, in a hospital setting, and expenses can run up really high, really fast. The safest thing to do is to operate within Thailand's laws and keep your personal safety at the forefront of your mind at all times. Whilst I've heard the phrase, Thailand's hospitals are world class, and I travelled to Thailand specifically to have my medical needs taken care of because it's great value, my personal experiences have not always reflected these popular phrases. I've been a first responder to 3 separate life or death situations over the last 2 years, and on each occasion, the ambulance response time here in Thailand has been between 15 and 45 minutes. And the communication and first aid practices that I observed at each event were not at the same standard of what would likely happen in Australia. dude hit the deck on his bike, Australian, no helmet. 10 minutes later, hanging in there. Yeah, the colours come back to you. Before, your hands were real pale, and that was all the blood going to protect your organs. Help throw him in the car. It's sort of a three-man job. Only a few months ago, I made a vlog about providing CPR to an 18-month-old Thai child who'd stopped breathing. Whilst many people watched on, I was the only person who felt comfortable enough to step forward and render assistance. I gave rescue breaths, I gave chest compressions, and miraculously, the boy survived. He continues to live happily with his family, only a few doors down from me. First aid and CPR is generally not taught in Thailand. Keep this in mind when renting motorbikes, using motorcycle taxi services, any risky physical activity, especially outside of tourist areas where medical assistance may be further away. Let's talk about dating, and we'll briefly touch on STIs as well. I would say Thai culture adopts a laissez-faire attitude to monogamy. I believe it stems from a broader cultural emphasis on tolerance, personal freedom, and the avoidance of open confrontation, the values that are deeply rooted in Thai society. While traditional Thai culture prizes family and loyalty, relationships can often be more fluid than what many Westerners would expect. Extramarital dalliances are commonplace for both men and women, especially when emotional or financial needs are not being met at home. This social flexibility can surprise Western tourists who arrive expecting straightforward, exclusive dating norms. For some, it creates an exciting sense of openness and possibility. For others, I think it can lead to misunderstandings, jealousy, or disillusionment. Ultimately, this cultural difference highlights the importance of communication, respect, and awareness when navigating romantic connections in Thailand's unique social landscape. I'll just briefly touch on why I think some of the coastal tourist areas in Thailand have become notorious for intercultural relationships, where it's not uncommon to see a Western man, perhaps in his 40s or 50s, with a Thai lady in her 20s or 30s. Let me explain. A significant part of Thailand is agricultural, where farming sometimes takes precedence over schooling. There can be limited employment opportunities outside of farming, and it's not unusual for young members of these families to reject the farm life and leave their hometowns in search of alternative employment. Thailand is arguably one of the most family-orientated cultures in the world, and it's very common for 3 or 4 generations to live together at one residence. Now, everyone is expected to chip in, but eventually financial responsibility for the family may fall to the youngest and most able-bodied members. In regional areas, contraception is rarely taught or promoted, and it's very common for couples as young as 17 or 18 to fall pregnant. While the whole family may be able to soak up this added financial burden for a short period of time, by the time the baby is 2 or 3, expenses will have increased, and the young mothers and fathers, they're encouraged to find higher paying employment. This will necessitate a move to the city or to coastal tourist locations where unskilled hospitality work is more abundant. With limited access to English growing up in regional areas, Thai people in their 20s may start out working in hospitality or retail jobs where speaking a foreign language isn't essential. As time goes by and these people begin learning English and other foreign languages, their ability to earn may increase, and so may the family expenses. As parents and grandparents age, the responsibility to pay for health services falls not on the government but on the family. Those already in situ to earn the most, the able-bodied 20-somethings of the family, already in cities and tourist hubs, they'll be encouraged to increase their contributions. It's at this point said individual may decide it's more beneficial to partner with an already established, financially stable, older person who can help service that family need. As I said earlier, family comes first here. A great way to navigate this stuff is to have a conversation early on about family, so you have an understanding of expectations and needs. I don't think much more needs to be said on this topic other than to say that commencing a cross-cultural relationship comes with hurdles. Unlike Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Brazil, Mexico, South Africa, actually let's go the other way. I'll say the only countries not to have been colonized or occupied by either the British, French, Spanish, Dutch, Portuguese, well, Japan, Liberia, Ethiopia, and you guessed it, Thailand. That's right, Thailand successfully resisted all attempts at occupation in modern times. In spite of globalization, trade, and technology, Thailand has retained its own value system. And this can pose a mental challenge for some Westerners when entering into a dating arrangement with a Thai. There are some things you will inevitably disagree upon because some ideologies are so diverse. One such challenge for a Westerner could be learning to accept that family may come before your relationship. Does that make sense? That's probably enough for now. I encourage polite, robust debate on any of the observations I've presented today, so please feel free to let me know about your experiences. If there's topic areas you're still curious about, please drop them in the comments and we can see about touching on them in subsequent videos. My name's Sam, I've only been in Thailand for a little over 2 years and my learning is ongoing and it's a fluid thing. I know there's plenty more for me to get my head around. Thanks for tuning in and I'll see you next time.